Hi guys, Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and I'm here to share with you my first design team project for Crealies. And I just want to share with you first which dies I used to make the project. So I used the big labels and tags, and that one happens to be CLBLT16 Smooth. And I'll show you something really cool to do with this if you like doing pockets, but you're kind of a little nervous, so that's one to check out. And I also used CLBLT14 with stitch line, and these are really pretty. I love the angles of that there. And then I also used the flower dies, and this is CL set 55 flowers 24, and that's those there. And the paper collection that I used to make this was from Stamperia, and it's Wonderland, and I used two of these collections to make my book. And here's the book. Awesome. So just real quick, I did use Vintage Photo to go ahead and ink all of my edges, and I'm not sure if everywhere, but right now the sequins that flip up and stuff are very popular, and I wanted to go ahead and make an album cover. At my job we sell sequin ribbon, and I thought it was kind of pretty, and I wanted to go ahead and play around and make a cover with it, and this happened to go ahead and match the paper collection. Amazing. And I will show you some more details on that later on. So this is a folio, and I am calling this Mirror Mirror. For one reason, the nice reflectiveness that you have on the cover, plus the way I went ahead and designed this. So it has a very simple ribbon closure. And let me get you some measurements on this. This happens to be about 7.5 inches wide by approximately 9 inches tall, and it is about 1.75 inches wide or so. And I will also include the metric measurements in the tutorial, so everybody has an option to go ahead and create this, and it won't be just in inches. I'll put it in metric as well. So let's go ahead and give you a walkthrough. So the flower dies you can see right here, I have them there, and I also did them down here, and then I fussy cut out some butterflies from the collection, and they're right, you can see that. And I wanted to keep them somewhat flat because of laying it down. So let's go ahead and take a peek. So it go ahead and opens up, and right away the reason behind it being called Mirror Mirror is these two pages here go ahead and mirror image each other. So they're little corner pockets, just like that. Real simple to make. And then I have just some photo mats. They're blank on the back side. I didn't want to go ahead and add the white paper because the white paper comes off when you add your photos, and I just kind of didn't want to waste all the white paper. That would just get tossed away. So, and then the collection had these cute little tags in it, so I wasn't really quite sure what to do with them, so I went ahead, cut them out, and inked the edges, so whoever gets the book can go ahead and decide what they want to do with it. And then it opens up like this. Let me try zooming out my camera so you can see it better. Whoops. Let's see. It is very wide. Alright, kind of get like that. I'll zoom in just to show you, but I just wanted you to see how big the book is. So let's go ahead and start on one side. So on this side over here is a little belly band right here, and this belly band keeps everything in this side closed nice and tight. So I have just some simple little photo mats, and this one just opens up. You can see the pretty images on those. So then it just takes, and this is a photo mat, so the back side's blank, so you can go ahead and add a photo, but this is what keeps everything tucked nice and closed. So then it opens up, and this is where I used this die right here to go ahead and make this little corner pocket. So I show you how to do that. So just little photo mats. Let me close my window because there's too much light. Okay, that's a little better. Now you can see it better. So anyway, the little pocket there, and then I have a set of 3 stacked pockets right here. So the bottom one, and then a middle one. Actually, just take them all out. And then a larger one at the top. There. Isn't she pretty? This whole paper collection is just amazing. It's very hard to work with though because you don't get very many sheets. And they are double-sided, so you kind of have to pick and choose. So you almost really do need to get 2. So then, let's see, slide it over a little. So again, back to the mirror, mirror image. So these 2 mirror each other right here. So another little corner pocket. And then right here I have a couple flaps using the full part of the tags right here instead of cutting them. And then I show you how to add the little hinge to use the full tag. So I add the little hinge and then some more photo mats just in the middle. And the pretty unicorn again. And then it folds all back up. And then this part comes down and then the photo mat. And then this right here will hold everything together. And then we walk over to the middle. So again, some more little tags and photo mats. The dragonfly is just gorgeous too. So then over here we have a nice little waterfall. And this is where I use these tags to make the waterfall. And these will hold little 3x3 photos. And they just all flip up. Just like that, and then you have a pocket here at the bottom, and the idea of the pocket at the bottom is to keep your little waterfalls from flipping up. And on this side, again, the same thing, so mirror imaging each other right here, and some tags and photo mats. And then this side, and just all flip up with the little angel sitting underneath. Super simple to make that as well. So I show you how to do that. And then let's go over to the other side. So it's just some photo mats again. And then that one opens up. And then over here, little corner pocket, the stacked pockets again, just there. And then this opens up, so then we have, oops, the full part right there, with another pocket, and then place to go ahead and put your photo mats. And then the reason these are here, I don't know if I said it in the other part, but it keeps everything closed together, so nothing will fall out when your album is closed up in this section, and you can just put loose photos and everything in here. So that closes up, and then back and forth, and then, whoops, and then we keep it all tucked together, just like that. We'll close it all up, and that's the book. Anyway, I have a full tutorial following this right after, and I will also include some close-up photos because the camera is just not doing any of this justice. So you can go ahead and check it out, and little fun sequins. They're just fun to play with. Anyway, the tutorial will be coming up next. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so before you get into the tutorial, I had realized after I was pretty far through on this that I probably should have this in centimeters as well as in inches. So I went ahead and did the conversion. I'm hoping that this is right. I'm not totally sure because I just did a Google conversion thing. So I do think on something, I think I'm supposed to round up. So when I have score lines like at 1.2 centimeters, I think it's supposed to be 1.3. I'm not sure, but you guys can let me know. But I tried to make sure I did it that way everybody can make this. So let me just walk you through what I have. So when I put these up, either go ahead and pause it and write them down, or take your cell phone and take a picture, a screenshot of these measurements, and then that way you can have them, because I'm not sure what platforms the video is going to be on. Usually on YouTube I just put it in the description box, but I think this is also going over to Crealies' YouTube or website, so I just want to make sure that the measurements follow the video so you can go ahead and make this. So let's start off with, this is the chipboard cover. So I'll go ahead and leave this here. So this is to make the whole part that folds out. And then these are the inches and these are the centimeters here. The Tyvek is the plasticky type paper to go ahead and put the bind the pages together, or the covers together rather. So I'm going to leave that right there. Go ahead and pause. All right, so then moving on. This one here is for the waterfall page. Whoops. This is for the waterfall pages. So this is for these parts here with the pockets. Put that back together. So for the waterfall pages, so these measurements are for one side. You'll have to do it 2 times, one for each side, but this is what I have. So you're going to cut 8 tags out, and then this tells you where you're trimming them. So hopefully that makes sense right there. All right, and then the next one is for this little group of pages right here. So let me show you that one. So here, let's see. Let me zoom out just a tad. Oops. Can I zoom in and not cut it off? Alright, so these are the side pages. I guess I don't need that part there, but these are the side pages right here. So go ahead again and pause or screenshot that. So this side is inches, this side is in centimeters. Alright, and then the last section is for the corner pockets right there. So this is for that one right there. Alright, so hopefully this helps people so they can do it whether you do inches or you do centimeters. Hopefully this will help you so you can go ahead and make the book as well. Alright, so enjoy the tutorial. Okay, let's get started on our cover. So first of all, you need a few pieces. So you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that is 7 by 9. You're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that is 6.5 by 9. You're going to need 1 piece that is 1.5 by 9 and 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch by 9. Then the Tyvek that you're going to need 2 pieces that are 3 3/4 by 9 and 1 piece that is 4.5 by 9. And on both of these pieces of Tyvek, you're going to put them in and you're going to score at, let's see if it will show. It's kind of bright, but you're going to put it in. Whoa, what happened there? Doesn't like my thing. Anyway, you're going to put it in, score at 1.5, rotate it over, and score at 1.5 again. And you're going to do that to all 3 pieces. My light's playing with me. And then we're going to go ahead and assemble. So to start with, we're going to use our 2 pieces that are 7 by 9, and we're going to use our piece that is 1.5 by 9. So I applied score tape, and I'm going to put it in the middle of my Tyvek. And the score lines that you scored on your Tyvek are a good guide so you know where to center. So go ahead and center that down. Now I'm going to use one of my new tools I just got. So this is from Colorway Arts, and it's a set of functional set of spacers and spatulas. And you can get this in her Etsy shop, and I will leave a link down below. And now the advantage of this is usually you would use, or most people use, a 1/4 inch tape in here for a spacer, but now you don't have to. You can just go ahead and use this, which is amazing. And I'm excited because this is the first time using it. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my pieces that are 7 by 9. Making sure everything is even. Perfect. Look at that. Nice. I have a little overhang up here, so I will cut that off afterwards. And now we'll get this side. And line that up just like that. Perfect. Check that out. Nice. All right. Now we're just going to go ahead and trim off that excess. So let's get that off. And it's thin enough you probably wouldn't have to. But I just don't want any extra bulk that's not needed in my album. All right. Oops. Okay. So now when you get that done, we're going to go ahead and flip it over and add tape to both ends here and here for the next part. And you can go ahead and add them to the other side. And now we're going to work on the other part here. So go ahead real quick and we'll get these attached down. Again, I'm centering it between my score lines. And I think I will attach this first. So you need your book. And I'm going to go ahead and put my spacer on. And take off my tape. Nice. Okay, and then we're going to do the other side. The nice part about right now with the Tyvek, everything bends so nice and easy until you get the paper on it. And again, last spacer. These things are going to be so cool. And you can, like I said, you can just fold it up and stick it down. Nice. Okay, And then now we need to add the 6.5 by 9 now to this side here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my tape real quick. Go ahead and try this again. Making sure you're even top to bottom before you stick it down. And now we'll just do this side. And then all we'll have to do is add our cardstock. Nice. So anyway, this is how our book is going to fold. So it's going to fold like this, and then it's going to fold up again just like this. And you can see it, how it's going to be just like that. All right, I'll be back in a minute and we will start covering our with paper. Okay, we are back and we're going to cover our album with paper. So you're going to need 3 12 by 12 sheets of cardstock for this, and I have zoomed out on my camera, so hopefully you can see better, seeing how it is so long. So I just added 3/8 inch tape to the sides of my cardstock, and again, as I put the cardstock down, I am just watching it, so I am just butt up against the edge of the tape. And I'm trying to use that as a guide too, to keep it even. And it doesn't want to play right. There we go. And let's get the other side on. You do need a big work surface if you're doing a cover this long, at least just to build it. So there we go. All right, so now my book is like this. So I have plenty of room where I can put 1 inch spacing on the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. So let's see. Just because I want everything even. So I'm going to go 1 inch there, and then all across the bottom I'm going to come up 1 inch. My paper is a little off right here, and that's just because a lot of times the paper itself is not always 12 by 12. So if you happen to take and rotate any of the sheets while you're doing it, it's not going to be squared up, but that's okay because we're covering it all anyway. So now I've already added my score tape to the back. And this one here, sometimes I worry about where my seams line up because I like to be even. But this one here, I'm not worried about because I'm gonna waste so much paper trying to do that. So I think I look good right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it down. And I like to put full tape coverage across my back. It keeps my cover from lifting anywhere. And the paper, the cardstock that I am using on this, I picked up at Michael's. So now I'm going to make sure I am even right on my line I drew. So you want to pull nice and tight on your book. And then when you get it where you want it, you can go ahead and stick it down. And now I'm just going to cut off all the excess. And I'm cutting off 1 inch on this side. And then I'm going to cut off 1 inch at the top. Alright, perfect. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my score tape around the perimeter so I can stick it down, and as soon as I put that on, I'll come back and show you. Okay, so I taped out all my edges, and now I'm going to trim off my corners. So I am using this 2-in-1 trim and miter tool from Colorway Arts. I just got this in the mail, so this is the first time using it. And it's got, oh, how well you can see it. It's got the little cutout for the corner. So you're just going to put it on there. And just trim off your corners. Nice. So I was using also by Colorway Arts this little metal one, and then I attached a 6-inch ruler to it, so it would still do the same thing. But this new one now, wanted to try. So, and I think if you're worried about cutting into the plastic, just cut nice and slow, and I think you'll be fine. I know I do have a habit of cutting into plastic, but if you just take your time and go slow, I think you'll be fine. It'll be perfect. Nice. And it's nice that it's see-through too. Yeah. Perfect. Alright, so now we are going to go ahead and start attaching this. Okay, so now let's start working this to get it to crease. So if you just kind of bring it up and then turn it around. And then once you can get it, you can just start creasing this part. And just go slowly with it so you don't crack any paper. And because it is so long, you will have to just have patience and just slowly get it bent and working it over until it starts to stick. And just try to keep it as, when you have it up, try to keep it as straight as possible. So then that way you don't get any parts where it might crease, and then when you straighten it out, that it might crack on you. So try to keep it straight and just keep walking it over. Now I do see my paper right here, so if you can see it now, oops, you can see right here my paper split. So what I do for that, which I use my art glitter glue, and this stuff is amazing on fixing that part of it. So I don't know how well, yeah, you can see it really good right there. You can see it sticking up. So what I usually do when it does that is I just go ahead and get it to come up more, and then I just glue it. And it's also in a spot where it's not like where it folds. So I just go ahead and put some glue right there, and then I just kind of fold it back over. And the art glitter glue, dries clear glue, just patches it up, and it does dry clear, so you won't even see it. But I do go ahead and lift it off, kind of like rub it off so it comes up, and then that way I can get glue all the way under it. And so far it looks like that's the only one that did that. But that's a nice little trick that you can do if your paper kind of separates from itself. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the sides. So I just want to tuck those little sides in. And then with this, I'm just going to go ahead with my bone folder, and again, just as if I had it standing, I'm just going to kind of walk it over. And then I can remove my tape and continue. There we go. And then just squish down the corners of the paper. And now the other side. Sorry, my hair keeps getting in the way. I have hair like Cousin It, so it is everywhere. So again, just crease that down. Squish that down, and then what you want to do now is you're going to go ahead and start getting these parts here creased in, and you're going to just go all the way down to all of them, and that will take a little bit of working in. So I'm not going to spend too long because I've got a lot here, but you do know what I'm doing here. I'll show you on a little bit of it. So I'm just taking my bone folder and going into between where the chipboard is. Let me zoom in. Okay, so what I'm doing is like right here, I'm just creasing it, trying to break those fibers up. Just like that. And I'm going to go down through all of them and just keep doing that. And let me flip it around, and then I'll just show you what I do next. Oops. And just kind of angle it a little bit. I've got it angled up. So then what I'm going to do is I usually, oops, wrong one. So now I just kind of slowly crease this up a little bit. And I'm going to, like, on this piece, I'm going to this side, and on this little piece, I'm going to this side of it. And then I'll do it the opposite way on the other pieces. And then once I get it where it's pretty bendable, then I just go down and I just start pinching against the spine, and I just pinch all the way down to get the paper to get right in those creases. And then once I get the spine done, I just push out on the cover, and I'm doing the same thing, so I'm getting the paper pushed up against the chipboard on the other pieces. Anyway, I'm going to do that with my other sections, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have all my edges creased, and now my book folds up just like this. There we go. So now my next step is going to be I'm going to take more cardstock, and I'm going to cover the whole inside of this, only because right now at the moment I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, so I want to make sure that I won't have any chipboard showing. So I'm going to cut a piece of cardstock the length of this, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it down here, and I will show you that in a second. Okay, so what I did was I cut a piece of cardstock the length of this album here and covered it with score tape. And now I'm just going to go ahead and lay it on top and go ahead and recrease my little spine sections here. So let me just show you real quick. And I'm only doing this because I don't know quite what I'm going to do with these pages yet. By the time you see this video, you will obviously know. But right now, I don't. So it's a mystery to me. I have a few ideas, so we'll see what we come up with. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, so I did attach 3 sheets of cardstock to this to get it on there, and I'm pulling it really tight. That way I can not let it get stuck any sooner than it should. And when I see it looks good, I will stick it down. Now what I'm going to do now is the same thing with the cover, where my spacing is for my spine. I'm just going to go through again, and I'll just show you on this one, and then I'll come back when I have it finished. So I'm just going to start working it through. And I'm just pressing in, getting the fibers broken up. Just like that. And then again, I'm just going to kind of fold it. And then fold this one. And then again, once I get it all creased, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again and just pinch it going down on the spine, and then again pushing the cover back. Do that. Anyway, I'm going to do it on the other 2 sections, and we'll be back and we'll start doing our pages. Okay, so we are going to get started on our inside pages. So I already went ahead and did this side, and this side over here is going to mirror this one. So as you can see, I have some nice little waterfall flip-ups, and there's doubles. These can hold 3x3 photos. So what you're going to need to do this side over here is I am using my Crealies dies, and the set that I happen to be using is CLBLT14, and that is these ones here. I am using the second to the biggest set. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and cut out 8 of your tags, just like that. Then what you want to do with your tags is you want to put it in your paper trimmer, and you want to cut over 5 inches. So from this end here, over 5 inches. And then this is what you're going to end up with. So just like that. And then you're going to go ahead and put this in your scoreboard, and you're going to score it at 4.5 inches. So let me just show you what I did. So because I wanted to make sure that I had this part here right, let me just zoom in a little. So because I didn't want to do it this way because my scoreboard does have a little gap over here. So I put it in my scoreboard like this, and then I went ahead and scored at 4.5 inches right here. So that's how I trimmed those ones. So, and just in case you are wondering, the overall width on the tags themselves is about 3 and 3/8 inches wide. I know you can't see that on the ruler, but they're about 3 and 3/8 inches wide. All right. So once I went ahead and did all those, let me zoom out. So I did go ahead and prep all of my little tags, and I went ahead and added score tape to the 1/2 inch mark, and then I just folded over just like that. So you're going to do that to all 8 of the tags. And let me zoom out a little more. Whoops, wrong way. Then I have over here is I created a little pocket. So that's the first thing that you're going to have to go ahead and do is create the little pocket. So my pocket that I did measures 7 3/4 by 3, and I scored it a 1/2 inch on each side and on the bottom to go ahead and create the pocket. And let me just adjust my colors. Hold on. Alright, let's see if that helps a little better. I was having a hard time seeing it. So anyway, I've got my pocket created, like I said, 7 3/4 by 3, and now I'm going to cut the corners off. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold. And where is, I'm going to go ahead and burnish this down. Now my pocket is going to go right here. I'm going to center it to the space, and I'm going to bring the pocket almost all the way down to the edge right there. So I'm going to bring it just like that. All right, and now when I put these down, the one thing I like to do is I want to make sure I have everything right where I need to go. So what I like to do is put it in the place, make sure I'm centered between the 2 spots. I hold one end and I just kind of untuck a little, and then with my nail I just grab the tape and I go ahead and stick it down like that. So now it's a flap. So now it kind of flaps. And just like that. Okay, so now I have my pocket on, and I can go ahead and remove these sides here. Oops. So I have my pocket down, and I already went ahead and cut my pattern paper. So here's this one. So in case you're wondering what paper I'm using, I will also put this in the beginning of the video, but I'm using the Stampura Wonderland. It's very pretty. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. So I am using Art Glitter Glue Dries Clear Glue to go ahead and glue my paper down. Sometimes I tape, sometimes I glue, whatever the mood strikes me. It also depends too on how big of an area I have to go ahead and glue something down. Because if I have a big area, there's more apt for it not to get on quite right when I am gluing something. So I like to use tape if I have a larger area. Alright, so now I want to go ahead and put my pocket on. I have already cut that as well. So what I did was when I cut this piece because of the image, I kind of figured out where where she should go. So probably about here, I think. I want to try not to cover too much of her face. Think about there. So on something like this, because I have a bigger piece, I'm actually going to go ahead and use tape on some of this, just because of the size of it. And I don't have to take the tape all the way down because it's going to be in the pocket. So you want to go ahead and add your pattern paper first before you add your waterfall, because you need to have the paper underneath here, just like that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of eyeball it again, where I feel she should fall in line. So I'm going to hold that. I'm just removing the tape from one of the sides so I can get it in the right spot. And then I can just lift up this corner and remove the other pieces. And there we go. So now she is all right down there. You can see that pretty. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be adding my waterfall pockets. Just cover my glue so it doesn't dry out. Okay, so now on these here, I'm going to bring these, let's see where we can get set up so I can see. So I can see right there. And let's maybe this way. There we go. So what I'm doing on this is I'm going to take two of them, and I want to bring them almost all the way over to the edge. So I have a very little, I'd say probably about a 1/8 across here and a 1/8 inch from my spine here. And then let's go ahead and line this side up about the same. So then I just have this narrow little strip here. So if I do it from both sides, it's going to be just about even. So again, I'm about 1/8 of an inch from the top and 1/8 of an inch over from the spine right there. So again, just like everything else, I'm going to make sure it looks lined up, untuck, and remove my tape. So I have that there. And now I want to do the same thing again. The top two here are the important two, because if these two aren't lined up perfect, you're going to lose your spacing on everything else going down for the waterfall. So that looks good to me. Untucking. And what I do too is if I have any tape overhang, I just kind of tuck it over. So there we go. And I'm just going to, again, if I need to, I can go ahead and remove those. And if I ever do make a mistake, I just use undo. It's an adhesive remover, and I just unstick it by that. So there we go. So now you're going to go ahead and continue down. So the next waterfall, I am going to bring all the way up, right up to the edge of this. So I don't want no pattern paper showing. And I also like to flip down the waterfalls and make sure everything squares up nice and even from side to side, so I don't have anything like hanging over or wonky. So I want to go ahead, line it up here, bring this piece down, make sure everything is nice and straight. Looks good to me there. And I'm going to hold the bottom one and let the top one just come up. Again, making sure I am right up to the edge. and go ahead, remove my tape, and tuck it back down. And now I'm going to do it with the next one. And there's 4 for each side. So just making sure everything lines up nice and square. Making any adjustments that I need to. And if you don't have everything lined up just perfect up here, your pattern paper, that when you fill in these spots here, like I did over here with these little strips, you can just make adjustments with those and cover it up. So then the last one here. Make sure I'm all lined up. And there we go, that side's done. And it looks like I'm going to chop off part of her wings, but I'm still going to get this part of her face, which was what I was wanting to make sure I kept. So I'm going to do this side the same way. Whoops, not quite. Let's go. Try it again. And just make sure you're nice and even. If you don't feel you are, just check it again. And I still have the nice spacing right there. There we go. Still doing good. And our last one. Making sure looks good. And perfect. There we go. So those are good right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern paper for these parts, and I will show you in a minute how I do that. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so let me show you how I do this part here, these little pieces. So what I did was I went ahead and used the scrap paper that I had left over from the image that I had cut out. I don't have enough to cover all those pages just yet, and I don't want to waste a full sheet. So once I get further on, I'll use my scraps to do that part. But these were the pieces that I did have left over from the pattern paper. So what I did was, these are like 1 3/4. I cut down, and then I went ahead and just literally cut the little bottom parts of this. So then what I want to do is, because these have, I don't think you're going to see it unless you see it in a photograph, but these have a really pretty little stitch pattern on them, and I wanted to mimic the stitch pattern on the top part of this part here across the top, because I didn't want it to look like it was chopped. I wanted it to look like part of a decorative element on that. So to do that, what I did was, first I went ahead and cut out a bunch of the little pieces. And then what I do is I'm going to take the die and I'm going to use it on the side. But when you cut out something, keep in mind that this outside edge here actually does an actual cut. So it will cut it. So when I do it, I want to put the pretty element part to the inside of my tag. And I'm going to use some washi tape. And let me show you how I do that. So I want to make sure they're all even. So what I do is on the stitches here, they go up the side, and I'm going to count up 2 of the stitches, and then I'm going to lay this piece across it. So I'm going to go up 2, and I'm just going to line this up. And I'm going to put the washi tape to the part that I don't need, because a lot of times when you run the washi tape through the machine, you're going to, the tape is really going to stick to it. So let me see. I think I need to go this side up a little more. So all I did was count up 2 of the little stitch marks here and here, and then I put this down. So now I'm going to run it through my machine, and I'm using an electronic Sizzix machine to cut all my dies. So I usually do it off camera, but I just want to show you how this one's going to work. So once I cut it out, so this is what I have left. So a nice even cut along the top, and then, oh, there you go. Maybe you can see the stitches right there. So you can see the stitches just like that. Perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. I'm going to cut all of them. So we have 8 pockets. So I actually need to make 16. But like I said, I don't want to cut a new sheet of paper. I'm going to use my scraps when I get near the end. But what I'm going to do is, just like right here, these are going to go right there. They're going to line up just like that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do some of those, and I will be back and we'll start working on some of the other pages. Okay, you will notice before I go to start these 2 side pages, I did mention my D piece at an incorrect measurement. So I'm just going to insert this little video before that, so you will be a little lost for a second. But this is supposed to be 1.5 by 9.5, and that's piece D. Okay, so we are going to get started, and we are going to work on this side and this side together. So what I'm trying to do with this book is I'm trying not to have too many different types of pages so you don't get overwhelmed. So I'm trying to duplicate stuff. So if you wanted to just do a simple book, you could just do like 1/2. The only thing is you would have to match the back cover piece to the front, because this one's obviously too short for the folding, but you would just double up on this back piece, and you could just make it one simple little book if you wanted to. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to work on these 2 pieces right here. So to get started, we're going to start. So we're going to have piece A, which is going to be 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, scoring on the 4 3/4 at 1/2 inch. And this is going to be a photo flap. And then you're going to need 2 pieces at 6 1/2 by 8 1/2, scoring on the 6 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. So these right here, you're going to have to do this double, one for each side. So the measurements I'm doing right now is for one side, and just cut it again for the second side. Okay, and then we are going to need piece C, which is 3 pieces, and these are going to be stacked pockets. So these are all going to be cut 7 inches wide. So I would suggest when you go to cut this, take your first piece and cut down 7 inches all the way, so you know that you're going to be exactly 7 inches wide for all of your pieces. Because if you do them separately, it's always possible you might have something a little off. But if you go ahead and throw this in your paper trimmer and cut 7 inches the first time, and then just do the rest. So the first piece is going to be 7 inches by 3 1/2. And this is going to be a pocket in the bottom pocket, and you're going to want to put tape on all 3 sides. And then you're just going to cut the corners off on that. And then the other 2 pieces that you have are going to be 2 1/2 by 7, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch on the 7 inch side at 1/2 inch and 6 1/2 And then you're going to rotate them, put them in, and score a 1/2 inch on the 2.5 inch side. You're only going to apply tape to the sides. You don't need it to the bottom. We're going to cut those off. And usually when I cut, I just flip around from where my tape is, just because it's easier for me to see my score lines. So this is what you're going to have here for your stacked pocket. Go ahead and fold those and burnish. And then the two pieces, we're not going to fold the bottom. The bottom score line is just a guide. So just go ahead and score those. And burnish those. And if you're wondering why I'm holding my bone folder a little differently than using it like this part here, is because I have worn this one down so much that I actually have a super sharp point here, and I've also somehow managed to put some kind of a little nick in here that I can't get out, but I have worn this down so much that it is now, I could probably cut like an X-Acto knife with that. And then your last piece, which is going to be piece D, which is a belly band, and this is going to be 1.5 inches by 9, scoring on the 9-inch side at a 1/2 inch and 8.5. And you're just going to fold those pieces over. Okay, and now we can get started. So we're going to work on one side first, and then we're going to work on the other side because they are mirror image to each other, so they are going to be just a little different, but the piece cuts are all going to be identical. It's just laying them on. So we're going to start off. Let's zoom in a little. Okay, so let's go ahead right there. So the first piece you're going to want to put on is your A piece, the 6 1/4 by 4 3/4 piece, and you're going to put that one almost all the way up to where your book bends on this part of the chipboard though. Don't forget you have your little gusset here for folding. You're going to stay to this side of the chipboard. So you're going to go probably pretty close, I would say maybe 1/8 of an inch from all the way over to the edge. So just like how I always remove my tape. And then you're going to have this little flap here. Okay. Then the next piece is going to be one of your B pieces. And what you're going to do is you're going to line this up on the same side. And again, you're going to stay about 1/8 of an inch away. And you're going to be eyeballing the top, the sides, and the bottom to just kind of visually make sure that you're about centered all the way around. And you're going to go up probably about 1/8 inch away from this right here. So let me stick this down and I will show you. So you can kind of see where this one is. You can almost see right up here. About there. So this is what you're going to have, this flap and this flap. So now you're going to take your other B piece and you're going to go ahead and center it down. Now the nice thing about this piece is you can take this part here, this flap, and where you folded over your binding part here, you can line it up to top to bottom. So you can get this one exactly lined up. I know it's hard to see because it's all black. But you're going to line it up and probably, I would go about 1/4 inch away from here where this piece is. So go ahead and stick it down. And so you can see right here about where I am away. And then you can see, let's see, you can see I made sure I lined up so it would look like when the pieces are all perfectly straight, just like that. so they all line up. So this is how this goes. This is going to go first, this second, and then this piece. So let's just jump ahead to the belly band. So we're going to take our D piece, and I'm going to put the D piece right here, but I think I cut it wrong. Hold on. Let me come right back. Hold on one second, because that is way too short. Okay, so the correct measurement should be 1.5 by 9.5. I went ahead and recut it, and you're scoring on the 9.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 9 inches. Oops, let me fix my notes real quick. And you should have seen a video in the beginning of this section here where I did correct that. So let's pick back up where we should have. So now you're going to take your belly band and you're going to put it on this side. So this is going to go on the top of one of your B pieces, and it's going to be the left side top. So you're going to go ahead and put your belly band on, and I'm going approximately 1/4 inch or so from right there, from the edge. And stick that down. So as you can see, here's your photo flap and your belly band. So this is going to be, so you don't need a magnetic closure. You can just put some tags and stuff in here. So then that way you can keep all of this part here all closed. All right, so that's what that's going to do. So now let's go ahead and work on these stacked pockets. And your stacked pockets are going to be on the top part of the right-hand side of B. So let's go ahead and get those started. So you're going to start off with the bottom pocket that has the score tape on all 3 sides. Fold it over, and this is going to fit exactly from side to side because it should be the same measurement. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up, and once I'm happy with it, stick it down. Just like that. And there we go. And now I'm going to take my 2 stacked pockets. And now the 2 pieces that do not have any tape on the bottom, nor do you fold that. Your score line is just your guide. So when you put it in here, you're going to put it all the way down to the score line, so you actually won't see the score line. The score line is going to be tucked into the pocket. Lining it up, making sure it is right to the edges. Now we're going to do the second one. Second stacked or third pocket, whichever way you want to call it. We're going to apply it the same way we just did the second one. Making sure it's all lined up nice and neat, and stick it down. So then now you have your 3 little stacked pockets right here, just like that, and it opens up. And then we're going to do something a little different on the inside here, so we'll do that in a minute. So it folds down, the stacked pocket goes first, then the pocket with the belly band, and then your photo flap. So then this way that will hold that there. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on the other side. So now this is going to be a mirror image. So you're just going to do everything the opposite direction. So let's get my pieces. So they're all the same pieces. So the first piece is going to be your photo flap, and that's this piece here. So the back side of this, the binding part, is towards these pockets, or these waterfall photos. So the back side of this is going to be towards this side. So again, go ahead and put it down. I'm just centering it. I'm eyeballing it, so I'm not like specific, but I am going about 1/8 of an inch away again. So that's my A piece. And now I need my 2 B pieces. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to set this on top. Again, about 1/8 of an inch away from there. And I'm just going to eyeball it to make sure that I am lined up centered. Stick that one down. Make sure this isn't caught up so you're not too close. And then I'm going to take my second B piece and I'm going to set it down. Again, about 1/4 of an inch away from this edge here, lining up the top of this pocket here and here to this one, to the binding spot. And once I'm happy with it, stick it down. Just like that. And just make sure everything is folded. This one, and then your photo flap. I'm going to go ahead and add my belly band 1/4 inch away from the edge. And it's the same size as the B pocket flap, so you're going to go straight end to end. So you have that. Here's the belly band now. So then this page here now, just like the other side. Let's see if I can't even get it all in the picture. This is where our stack pockets is here and our flaps. So that means right here is where we're going to put our stacked pockets. Again, the piece with tape on all 3 sides is going to be your bottom piece. Lining it up. End to end and straight to the bottom. And stick that down just like that, and then I stacked pockets. And this last one. Just like that. So there you go. So this goes down first, then this one, and then the photo flap. And then again, you'll have something in here to keep it closed. And it'll fold like this, and then the same thing with this one. Oops. So stacked pockets go down, this one, and the flap. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pieces ready, and we're going to do these inside parts here, and I will show you that in a minute. And we're getting there. Okay, so now we are going to get started working on these inside pockets here. Alright, so what I am going to do with those is, this is going to be something a little different. So I am using these dies from Crealies, and these are the CL BLT 16 Smooth. So by smooth, there is no stitch lines in these. These are just complete straight edges, and you do, like all the other dies, you get 2 pieces. So one piece is your outside cardstock piece, such as this one here, and then you get a second piece that's a little smaller that would work as your pattern paper, so you don't have to guess. Everything just lines up perfect. Alright, so this craft colored piece is just for demonstrations while I'm making my pockets, and this is going to represent the pattern paper. I will go through later and actually add actual pattern paper. This is just for demonstrating what I'm going to do. So first of all, on this set here, you are going to need to cut out 4 of the largest pieces. So these ones here, you're going to need to cut 4 of those. And on the smallest pieces, so you're going to have the 2 smaller, the cardstock piece and the pattern piece, and you are going to use the larger of the two smalls, the one that would be a cardstock piece. You also need to cut 4 of these. Alright, so that's what you need for those. So let's get started. So do you ever see fancy cute little pockets with like nice little corners on them and stuff, and you're like, that is too complicated, I don't know how to do it, and you don't want to have to like figure out measurements and everything? So let me show you an easy way. So I was going through trying to figure out what to do on my inside pieces, and I came up with making pockets. So let me zoom in. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, so you want to work with 2 pieces because you need a left side and a right side, and the easiest way to do that is to have the 2 pieces right in front of you. So like I said, this is the largest of the dies. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my scoreboard, and what I'm doing is I want to I want to score right at where this corner is here. So this is going to be part of my edging. So right where this point is, I'm going to just look on the scoreboard and look to see which is the closest to it. So it just so happens to be 3/4 on my scoreboard because my scoreboard is in inches. So it happens to be at 3/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and score down all the way down. So I have my score line. So now my pocket sizes that I want to have is I want to have a 5-inch pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this in my scoreboard at my 5-inch mark. Make sure it's all nice and tight at 5 inches. Go ahead and score down. So as you can see, I have my score line there. Now I don't need all this excess cardstock like right here and over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make little tick marks. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. I'm going to grab a pencil. So here's my score line at 5 inches that I made. I don't know. Oops, wrong way. So here's my score mark right here at 5 inches. So I'm just going to go at 5.5, and I'm just going to put a little tick mark because I only need a 1/2 inch right here, and you'll see in a minute why. And then over here, the easiest way to do this is I also only need a 1/2 inch here because I don't need all this excess paper. I don't need to add the extra bulk. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to line it up where my score line, I'm just going to pick like a whole number. So this again is just 5, and this is just for lining up. And I'm just going to go back a 1/2 inch and make a score mark. You could use your ruler too if you wanted to. I'm just going to make another little tick mark with my pencil. But if you didn't want to do it that way, you could always just take a ruler and go from, line it up. Whoops. So here's my score line right here. I could just take my ruler, line up where my score line is, and just draw a line. And I'm just going to chop what I have there off. So again, making sure, let's go out a little, making sure, so this is the left hand side pocket with this little crease to the right. So I want to make one that's mirror image. So we just did this one. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go put this one in the corner, and I'm going to go from this side now. So when we did the other pocket, we went from here. Now I'm going to go from here. And again, lining it up right where the point, and I'm going to go down. So you can see my score line is right to that corner. All right, and again, I want just a 5-inch pocket. So I'm going to go ahead, line it in 5 inches. While it's still there, just going to make a tick mark for my 1/2 inch. And then over here, just kind of guess. And right here. All right, so I want to chop off this side and to the bottom. I'm going to chop that off real quick, and I'm going to show you what I did. All right, so this piece here, that. All right, so here's this piece. So as you can see, that this is what I chopped off. So I chopped this way first, and then I chopped down. And again, I chop this way and this way. It doesn't matter which way you do it. It's just whatever is easier for you. So anyway, I have those pieces. These here you can all get rid of. You just need your little corner pockets. All right, so now I need to add my score tape because we're making pockets. And you're going to put tape on. And again, just by cutting off the side pieces, it's just to eliminate the bulk. If you didn't want to, you would definitely have to cut the bottom part, but if you didn't want to cut the sides, you wouldn't have to do that. So just get rid of my overhang on my tape. So now this is what you have, just like this. And what you want to do is, because we're going to make pockets, you're going to cut off the angle. Okay, and do that. And then, because we're creating pockets, burnish them down. So this is what we have right here for our nice little pockets. All right, so you're going to need 2 for each side, so you need to make 4 of these all together. And then the other thing you need to make, so now this is the largest of the smaller ones. So these are little flaps. So you're also going to need to cut yourself a piece of, this is going to be like our little binding flap. So this is going to be 1 inch by 4 3/4. And the way I came up with that, again, is I want to measure from here to here. So I'm measuring here to here is 4 3/4 to this little point. So I did is, and then I scored it a 1/2 inch in the middle. So this is 1 inch. And you're just going to fold it in half so you have tape on both sides. And then the other piece as well. And just burnish those down together. And because if you don't get it even, you might have some overhang. So what you want to do is, here's the piece with the 2, fold it in half, and you're going to angle cut from the corner inward. So now you look like you have an arrow. And you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So here, and angle inward. So you're cutting the corner off. So you're going to do that to both sides, or both pieces. Alright, so we have that. So now I want these little flaps here are going to go like this and like this. So just to be sure, I make sure I put this part here on correctly. I'm going to go ahead, line these up the way I want them. And I'm going to flip over one, and I'm going to attach it so this is going to become a flap. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape. And I'm going to put this straight to the edge, straight to the bottom, edge to edge. So this is the bottom here. So this is the direction that I want it. And it's going to flip like this. And then the top piece, I'm going to do the same thing. So I know this is the top. So I flip it over. I'm going to remove my tape. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it down. Just like that. So now when these attach, this is the part here with the tape. I'm going to attach it like this, so these will go like this. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and attach these to our book. So now we have these two flaps and we have our corner pockets. So let's go ahead and let me zoom out. See what I'm doing. Clean up my space a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to be working in the center section here. So here's our stacked pockets, our photo flap. This is the pocket with the belly band, so we want to open it all up like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our corner pockets that we created, so these pieces here, our tape, and we're going to go ahead and the first one is going to go right in this corner. So go ahead, it's going to go straight to the edges all the way. So remove our tape. Go ahead and stick it down. So just so you can see, that's where that is, like that. Alright, so now we're going to put our other corner pocket on this side. Making sure you're right to the edge. And then there you go. So there's this one, just like that. And then now we want to go ahead and do those little flaps that we just created with these pieces here. So we're going to go, actually, which way did I have to use the same? Okay, so the bottom is going to be the piece right here. So we're going to go ahead and put it down. Now I'm going to be, I want to actually line this up with where this edge goes and this edge here goes. So I'm going to just kind of create an invisible line right there. That way when it's all closed up together, you can't see everything. So just down here, and now you have this flap here. So see, oops, I think I caught a little. Let me just burnish that down. So there's that, and then we're going to do the same thing for the top, lining it up, and I have to stand up, I can't see. Making sure we're nice and even. Here we go. So then, yeah, these two flaps here, and that's what's going to keep anything you put inside here from falling out, so you can have some photo mats and stuff. And then let's go ahead and do the other side. So we're going to open up, and our corner pockets right here. Again, all the way over to the edges. So you can see that just like that. And then we'll put the one on our other side. And there's that one. So just like that. And then our two flaps. So which direction did I go? So I want to bring this one this way. I'm just mirror imaging the other side. So on the other pocket, let's see, you can see this here. The other pocket, this angle was to this side, so I'm just making it reversed. just like that. And then our top piece. Lining it up. Just like that. So we have right here. And then this all closes up. Oops, this, and this. Now I'm going to show you how to go ahead and trim out your piece for the pattern paper. So you would take this is the smallest of the largest two, so this would be the inside of your pattern paper. So let me show you how easy that is. Let me get another piece of paper. Alright, this will make it easier to see. Alright, so you can see that right there. Let me zoom in. So now this would be your pattern paper piece. So because this way you don't even have to guess as to what size and how, you know, to match up the angles and to go a little smaller. Just use the next smaller piece down for the die, and you're just going to make some little marks. And oh, here's my pencil. So what you're going to do is go ahead, line it all up, and then I'm just going to make a little mark here. So there's a little mark there where I need to cut, leaving a little bit of a space. And then over here, the same thing. So basically on this one, I can just do a mark right at that edge piece. And I'm going to cut that out and show you. So now this would be your pattern paper, and you have a perfectly sized up piece. Let's just throw this into here. So you can see it's perfectly sized up to the exact size that you need. And you just cut off. So this was the full size of the tag, just like that. And those right there are the pieces that you cut off to create that perfect little angle corner patterned pocket piece. Say that 3 times fast. All right, there you go. All right, so that is how you make those. Fold up, zoom back out. So those are those 2 sides, just like that. And they close up. There we go. All right, so now we will just do these 2 inside pieces here next. Okay, so now we are all going to decorate these inside pages here, and these inside pages here are this part of our book. So keeping in line with our mirror image of everything, we are going to do the same thing to this. Now this is going to be real simple, just because when you close up the book, you don't have a lot of room here. So we're just going to do some simple pockets right here. So what I did was I cut a piece of paper that is 7.5 inch square, and I scored a 1/2 inch all the way around all 4 sides. And I'm going to go ahead and apply my tape. I would have done this before, but I just wanted you to see what I was doing. So score tape to all 4 sides. So then what I want to do is I want to make angle pockets. So what I'm going to do is take this square, stick this in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut straight down just like that. So let me show you. So here's my square, just like that. Then I'm going to just trim it up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and, well, whack off that corner, whack off that corner, and then where it connects here, I'm going to go right across the X on that one. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Just like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and burnish them down, making sure my flaps do not overlap at all. And then this side. So now these are my pockets, and they're going to go like this. So let's get the book back over. Here's the book. So we're going to go like this. And we want the opening on towards the inside of the book, because when it's closed, you won't have stuff. If you had it this way and closed, you could have potentially some stuff falling out of your book. But if you put it this way, you kind of keep it contained. So just like everything else, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to, so on your cover, you have right here is where like the little gusset part is for where your book bends. I'm going up to the chipboard piece for this piece is where I'm going to the edge. So I'm going to line it up and then straight flush to the bottom. So let's go ahead. Once I'm happy, I'm going to hold it there, untuck. Go ahead and push that down, and then this side. So I have a nice corner pocket there. And then so you can see, just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Right to the bottom and over to the edge here. Just like that. And again, you can kind of see that on the screen. There's the corner pocket. Alright, and then your book just folds up like this. Alright, and then the only thing left to do is the cover, and then adding all the pretty paper to see how this will come alive. Alright, so let's figure out our cover. Alright, so I just want to give you a little hint. It's kind of a paper saver hint. So I'm working with the Stampera paper, and unfortunately with that, you don't get very much. So I had to kind of figure out the best way to, I didn't want to waste so much paper on these corner pockets here. So I had to figure out what the best way was to go ahead and decorate these with the minimal amount of paper. So what I did was for this particular pocket here, I measured to see what size it was, and then I cut my paper down 1/4 inch smaller. So this is 6 1/4. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and line up the top of this, but I want it, because it's a little smaller, so you can see where your pocket is. So this is the corner pocket piece I'm working on. So I can see where that is. So just trying to figure what would be the best. So I really want to get this butterfly here. So what I'm going to do is I can see where my pieces are for my pocket. So I want to take and line up exactly where that is, and then just kind of slide my ruler just a tad more, because I need to keep the white trim around it. Not the white trim, I'm sorry, the black trim around it. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line. So that's an angled line right there. You can see it right there. So I'm going to cut that out. So that is this piece right here that I cut. Looks good. So now I want to go ahead and add this piece here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just tuck it under just a little under my flap because I want some of this here to show. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck it in just a little bit. And I'm just going to make a little tick mark about a 1/4 inch down, maybe a little less up here. So then I have this right here. So when I go ahead and glue these in like this, and then like this, I'll still get that right there, and I don't have to take the paper all the way down to the corner, and I have it just like that. All right, that's just a little hint that I just kind of did while I was working on this side, and I just wanted to share it with you for that side. Okay, so I actually went ahead and decorated my cover, and this is what I have. So I have these cute sequins on it that seem to be very popular right now. So I got a roll and I made this cover, and I figured just in case you wanted to do something like this on the cover, I'd show you how I created the frame. And just to show you, the sequins that I got are on a roll. I got them at Michael's, but you could probably find them anywhere online. But it's called reversible sequin ribbon, and I got that at Michael's. So that's what I got for that. And let me show you how I created the cover, or if you just wanted to do kind of like a framed out cover. As you can see, it is a separate piece. You can see right here, right there, you can see how it is a separate piece. I did just stick on the top, and then I fussy cut out some butterflies, and then with my Crealies die I created some little flowers, and I'll show you how I did that. So to create the cover, this piece happens to be 7 by 8 3/4, and I'm going to do a 1-inch frame around it. Let me just turn my sound off or my phone starts. So I'm just going to do a 1-inch border. So I'll just use a Sharpie so you can see it better. So I just went ahead, 1 inch all the way around. Just like that, and then cut out that center box. So let me just show you real quick, and then I'll show you how to wrap it with the cardstock. I mean, if you're cutting with a craft knife, just so you don't bust your craft knife, I just do several slices, pushing a little harder each time. Till I can tell I've gone through. So sometimes the corners don't go, so you just have to get them. But let me finish this up, and I'll be right back after I cut it out. Okay, so I went ahead and cut that piece out. Just make sure whatever you have in the corners, sometimes you might have a little bit of chipboard or whatever that might kind of hang out in the corner. Just go ahead and clean that up with your craft knife, and just kind of go in like, you know, this. Whoops, go this way. Just kind of go in the corners and just clean them up so you get a nice squared off corner, so that you don't have anything kind of chunking up the corners when you're with your cardstock. So then what you want to do is add score tape to the other side. and I have a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. So I measured over 1 inch from the side and 1 inch from the bottom. So you can see that right there. Now I'm just going to lay my frame on top. And go ahead and stick that down. So I'm going to put the corner of this right into the corner of where I drew my lines. And that's just because I like to have a 1 inch border of cardstock around when I'm doing that. So press that down. And then I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to cut off, leaving 1 inch. And then this side. So you're going to do this basically the same way you do an album cover with cutting the corners and stuff like that. But what I want to do now is I also need to cut out the center piece. So again, I'm going to go ahead and do another 1 inch border. And that's what I'm going to do to wrap it. And if you hear all that traffic, nothing says let's have more traffic on a country road than it does when you're going to record a video. So they're going crazy out there. So now I'm just going to cut out my little box. And you don't have to be perfect with this because you're not even going to see this part. This is just part of the wrapping. So you take that piece out there. And then what you want to do is, now I'm not going to add all kinds of score tape to this because I don't plan on keeping this. I'm just using this to show you guys. So normally what you do is go ahead and add score tape all the way around. So I would also add score tape right up along these edges here. And then the same thing with this part. So you have this. So then what you would do is on the corners, go ahead and chop them off. In case you're wondering, this is a colorwaysart.com corner tool. And then I just added a 6-inch metal ruler to it, so because I could get more. This doesn't cover enough of the area. As you can see, my cardstock still goes over from end to end. So I just added a 6-inch metal ruler to that, and it works great. So now what you want to do is you need to cut inside your frame so you can go ahead and wrap that. So what you're going to do is go from this corner down to this corner and cut it. Now I will tell you when I am doing this on my own off camera, I am using rulers and making sure everything is perfect. So just because I'm cutting it this way, it's just to save a little extra time on the video. So go ahead and get those corners folded in on the sides. Just like that. Then what you want to do, let's see. So when you're doing the edges like this, you want to make sure you push down on those parts, just like when you're doing the book, just to make it easier, so you get a nice clean corner. like that. And then the same thing with the other side. So then what you want to do for the inside now is I always take my bone folder and just kind of go in and kind of crease it like that. And do that all the way around. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape and press that side down. So what you may want to do before you actually stick that down is sometimes, depending on how you've cut your paper, sometimes your cardstock, your chipboard will show through. So I like to go in and just take a Sharpie right in the very corner. I don't know if you can see that. But I like to go in and just add a little black Sharpie there, unless you're using like matching cardstock and chipboard. I just like to go in and add a little bit of that Sharpie there, just so in case the cardstock doesn't quite show all the way through or cover all the way. This side. Yeah, and then the other thing I like to do is just take my bone folder and just press down, just so I get it nice and tight to the frame. Yeah, and then that's the little frame. That's how I made it. So then what I did was, just in case you do get the sequin stuff, let me show you what I did with that. So I used the one that was kind of a mermaid color. So how I did that, whoops. So I made sure when I did cut it that it was the size, my opening was smaller than the width of the sequins. And then I just set it on it like that. Oops. I just set it on it and then I cut the sequins. And then what I did was I started off, I hot glued on the bottom here because you're going to need a strong glue to hold the sequins on. So I put a strip of hot glue down here and then I set this on. Once that was done, let me turn it over. So I had hot glued it there, and then of course pretend like this is cut. I don't want to waste this piece, but pretend like this was cut here, hot glued here. And then what I did on the sides was I just kind of pulled them tight as I hot glued it down to make sure it was, nice and tight there. But that's how I made that sequin cover if you choose to do something similar to that. All right, I will be back and I'll show you how I made my flowers. Alright, so let me show you how I made these pretty little flowers here. So what I did was I used the Crealies CL SAT 55 Flowers 24, and I used all 3 of these right here. And there goes that traffic. So then what I'm going to do, I cut them out, and I'm going to go ahead and add some vintage photo ink to it. And all I'm doing is just, let me zoom in. So all I'm doing is just inking the edges. That's it. And this color ink is perfect for this paper. Alright, so once that is done, so on the bigger flowers here, all I'm doing is just pinching them in half. You can see that? I'm just pinching them. And I'm just going around, whoops, kind of pushing my finger in the middle and then making it cup around just like that, just to give a little dimension to the flower so they don't lay so flat. This is pretty easy. So you can see that. And then the bigger ones I'm using, because these are, the medium size one, because these are smaller, they're a little more difficult. So I'm just taking my nail, putting it in the middle, and just squeezing to kind of get them to cup up a little bit. I'm doing that to all the petals. And then the smaller one, because this one is super small, you can't really fold those. What I do is I'm just taking my nail and putting it between like 3 of them and then just pushing them up. And that's all I'm doing. And that's it, just pushing them up like that. Then all I'm going to do is just attach them together. So the easiest way I find is I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on the largest one. And then I'm going to set the next size right in the middle. And then the same thing, put a little dab of glue on the next. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down. And then I had these pretty little, I don't know what they are, these little embellishments. They're little hard plastic pearl shape. And all I did was just hot glue them right in the center, just like that. And then I hot glued them to the book, the whole flower itself. Alright, and that's how I made the little flowers to go all around the book. So I got 3 down here and 2 up in the corner. Pretty. Alright, so let me just show you, zoom out, what I did for my closure. I just did a simple little ribbon closure. So I didn't record doing that part because I actually got carried away when I was decorating the front cover. So what I did was basically is I just found my center of my book, drew a little line, and I just taped down my ribbon in the center, and then I did it the same way on the other side. Found the center again, made a little mark, and then I just take the ribbon and I stick it down like this and tape it down, and then everything's hitting underneath the paper, and then that way they're going to line up right there. So that's an easy way to do the closure. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a closure, but then I decided I thought the ribbon would be pretty on there. Anyway, that's how I went ahead and made the closure for the book. Alrighty guys, so that goes ahead and wraps up the tutorial on my mirror folio. I hope you like what you see. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel at Patty's Crafty Spot, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you like what you see and want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on the Crealies YouTube channel, again, go ahead, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Or if you're also watching this on the Crealies website, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye.